Welcome back to another drawing process. This time I'm bringing my kids back with me. Virtual kids, by the way, my original characters. In the last video, some people actually thought I have literal offsprings. In case you're new to the channel, these are my virtual children. Kaede, the younger brother, and Ruka, the older sister. Yes, I named them after Kaede Rukawa from Slam Dunk. Anyway, this is the main reference for today's drawing. I picked this one because the pose is cute, and as always, I'm drawing the silhouettes as a start. Silhouettes are great to visualize the big picture of your painting. I'm using blue for Kaede and pink for Ruka. Next, I'm drawing the rough sketch. In this stage, I oversimplified the facial features, the hair, everything. I'm just mapping out where things go, so I'm not drawing anything semi-realistically for now. By the way, if you want to learn how to draw semi-realistic eyes, I did a comprehensive video on that for my channel members. I will do the nose next, and then the mouth, and then the whole face. You can become a member starting from 99 cents only, or go for the next tier for only $2.99. Treat this Indonesian girl sama seblak, you know? No pressure though, okay? You don't have to be a member if you don't want to, obviously. You guys are cool either way. But being a channel member is much cooler, just saying. Okay, enough of that shameful, shameless membership plug. I'm using 3D models to help me with the anatomy, especially for Ruka because I don't draw girls that often. I also had a hard time figuring out the anatomy just from the reference picture. Anyway, for the clean sketch, I'm drawing the facial features in anime style to keep the shapes simple. I used extra reference for the clothes. I think this outfit looks pretty good for Ruka. Then I adjusted her head position and her body using the transform and liquify tool. Oh, what's that? You still need to make adjustments even after using 3D models and not just trace it willy-nilly? Gee, Dr. House, I didn't know that. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry, I'll stop. The guy I'm referencing for Kaede has his eye covered by his friend, so I'll just make it closed. I'll open it again during the rendering because, you know, his eyes are both open in the end result, as you can see from the thumbnail. For Kaede's outfit, this is my reference picture. Yes, I know, holy effing cow. Now we're moving on to the base color. I changed the background color to light blue. I think I want to make the light blue background a thing for my virtual kids. And no, this is not because I'm too lazy to draw actual backgrounds or having the lack of skill to do so. I was planning to make them wear all black, but it makes their silhouettes overlap and I didn't like that. So I will change Ruka's shirt color later on, but you guys already know that. You saw the thumbnail. Next, I'm adding soft shadows using an airbrush on a multiply layer. I'm jumping from one layer to another so I can paint it as a whole. This is also to make sure the siblings share the same shade. I don't have a color palette or anything for my OCs. You guys know how lazy I am, right? What, you expect me to have a color palette? Anyway, for the hair though, I'm using flat watercolor opaque 2 instead of an airbrush to get the painterly look. Then I'm applying the hard shadows using flat watercolor opaque. Yes, this is different from the previous one. This one is more solid, I think, and thicker. I made another multiply layer so the shadow is darker and more saturated. Okay, now we can move on to the rendering or painting over the sketch. And here is where I encountered a problem. Well, two problems actually. First, the reference picture doesn't have clear shadows and it's making it harder to render without blurring everything. Second, half of this guy's face is covered by his friend's hand, but it's important to draw the whole face, just in case I want to move the hand. By the way, the picture is not to blame. Obviously, this is a beautiful picture. I just have a hard time figuring out the shadows and stuff. I'm gonna move on to Ruka for a bit and change her shirt color using color balance, tone curve, and hue and saturation. Hopefully, I will get an epiphany if I jump to different parts of the drawing, which you should do, by the way. Don't hyper-focus on painting only one part. Your eyes will get used to the flaws in the drawing, so you will make little to no progress at all. Okay, now I'm kinda stumped here. I thought I'll be able to render Ruka's face better because the guy in the reference only has his chin covered up, but it turns out that it's still quite hard to render. This video should have been titled Artist Stumped Countless Times and Bit More Than She Could Chew. But you know what? It's part of the process. We have to learn to find little pieces of joy, even in frustrating times. From the chicken motivator, everyone. And like any other motivator, I want you guys to come take a walk with me. In your mind, okay? I'm not getting up and taking an actual walk. Just imagine we're walking side by side. And please picture me as a 6 feet tall girly, okay? Now, I'm sure all my viewers are big brain creatives. So I want to invite you guys to start your own business. No, this is not an MLM, okay? This is not multi-level marketing, don't worry. I'm partnering with ACGGOODS to invite you guys to start your own business at zero cost. ACGGOODS is an online platform where artists can sell their custom products like keychains, stickers, badges, and other types of merch. ACGGOODS have a print-on-demand service, which means they will handle everything from production to worldwide shipping. That's amazing, right? So you don't need to worry about looking for vendors and shipping services. All you have to do is create fun and beautiful designs for your merch. To start selling, click on the Start Selling button, obviously. Type in your store name and pick the store category. Now there's an invite code here where you need to join their Discord group and get the invite code. This might sound like a hassle, but this is to make sure that the sellers in ACGGOODS are legit artists and not some degenerate AI bros, okay? AI generated content is strictly prohibited here. But I have a good news for all my viewers. You can immediately open your store using my short link in the description. Joining the Discord group is optional once you use my link, but I really recommend joining for the updates and also to connect with community of artists in the group. Now just set up your store by naming it, adding store avatar, store banner, and introducing it to your future customers. Once your store is ready, you need to fill it up with products. Click on Add Products and it will redirect you to Wooocree to customize your merch. I have some products I haven't showcased in my store yet. Now just hit Sell, name your product, choose the product style, and add some tags, and then set the price. You can also see your estimated earnings based on the price you set. There will be a cut for the production fee, transaction fee, and platform service fee. It might look like a big cut, but considering they handle all the productions and shipping, I think this is quite fair. They also use high quality materials, so the end result is really good. Check this out. It's really good, right? Click Add to Store and it will automatically be listed in your online store. If there are no more edits, you can enable this toggle and your product is ready to sell. Easy! You can check out my store on ACGGOODS and purchase some merch if you see something you like. I will also link it in the description. And while you're at it, you can also browse other amazing artists on the platform. There are lots of them, so please check them out and support by purchasing or sharing their store with your friends and family. And of course, if you'd like to start your own business, please use my link in the description so you can open your store in 10 minutes and at zero cost. Come on, don't miss out on this opportunity. Thank you so much ACGGOODS for collaborating with me. I ended up looking for more references so I can draw Ruka's face easier. I should have done this in the first place because I suck at drawing girls. The guy in the reference is gorgeous, no doubt about that, but I want Ruka to have softer and rounder facial features. So I used this picture as additional reference. I love the blush she has across her nose and cheeks. I will add that to Ruka later, but I especially love the shadow around her nose and eye sockets. You can see the planes next to her nose bridge clearly. It's so beautiful. I used my phone to look at the girl's reference, so I don't have that in Ibispaint's reference window. Anyway, I opened up Ruka's eyes a little bit, so it doesn't look like she is scamming countless pranks on her brother. She still has different colored eyes, by the way. Same goes for Kaede. Not because they have heterochromia, it's just colored lenses for fashion. But for now, I'll just make her have pink eyes. Wait, I'll color her irises pink, is what I'm trying to say. I'll color her irises pink and we'll change one of them to blue later so I can focus on other things. Anyway, you know what frustrates me the most when drawing tilted heads? It's that you cannot just willy-nilly duplicate the eye to make the other, especially because she's kinda looking that way a little. So the angle is front view, but not really. Tilted heads, I'm not a fan. Then why am I drawing two tilted heads? No idea, maybe I hate myself. Alright, let's work on the little brother for a bit. Again, I looked for additional reference and found this picture. I will focus on this one as Kaede's reference because the head is tilted up slightly. He has beautiful eyeshadow and blush, and the facial expression is perfect. The slightly smug, trying to be cool, nonchalant expression, that makes his older sister cringe. Because no matter how attractive someone is, they'll still look like a cow in their siblings' eyes. Except in Alabama, I guess. Wait, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, painting. I had to change Kaede's face quite a lot here because I messed up the proportion trying to figure out the head's angle. If it looks terrifying, that's because it is. Trust me, it wasn't a picnic for me either seeing my digital offspring like this. I'm flipping the canvas multiple times. This is also something that you should always do because it gives you a fresh perspective to notice mistakes easier. And with tilted heads, I will make tons of mistakes, no doubt about that. I'm trying to make the siblings' faces somewhat similar, but not an exact copy of each other because they're not twins. Ruka is 5 years older. So I also wanted to make sure Kaede's face looks younger than his sister's. Okay, now we are getting to the most dreaded process. The hair rendering. Actually, you know what? Recently, I don't feel as scared anymore because I have found a method that works for me. And when I say works for me, it means that I can apply this method every time I draw the hair, and the result is quite okay in my opinion. So anyway, I'm using a very dark color to draw the big shape of hair first, then fill it with color. Afterwards, shape the highlight into a Hyundai logo and add dark shadows on both ends of the Hyundai so it will look something like this. Then add hair strands for more details. I made a dedicated hair painting, by the way. You can check that out for a more detailed process after this video. Okay, I'm not done yapping, so you can't leave. I just realized that I've never drawn Kaede's hair from the front, so I kinda have to improvise on his fringe. And of course, surprise surprise, I forgot to shade the hair like a ball. Balls. Let's not dwell too much on that and render Ruka's hair. Hopefully her hair is more ballsy than her brother's. Okay, as you might have noticed, I color the inside of the hair lighter for stylization. This is something that I learned from multiple Chinese artists, and yeah, it suits my art style and my hair paintings become less boring. Ruka's hair is much more challenging than her brother's. First, it's because it's longer and also it's a bit messy, but in a good way. She has a wolf cut, which is messy and aesthetic, but it also means I have to draw it with more care so the shape is not all over the place. I won't be talking too much about the close rendering because I obviously need to do more study. The only thing I can say about close is that I suck at it. Okay, I did a close study before, but only once. Like, what do you expect from a one-time study? Now thankfully the hand is quite clear on the reference picture, so I didn't need additional references. Another reason why I picked this picture as a reference is the nail polish. They have very fun designs. I cannot see them clearly, but I see there's a smiley face on it. It's really cute. I will use pink for Kaede's nails and later I will use blue for Ruka's. But before we give her fun nail polish, we have to render her hand, which looks quite weird now that I look at it closely. I will trace the guidelines from the reference, and yes, this is a quick and easy method to draw hands. Only trace the guidelines and then draw the hands yourself. Don't trace the whole thing. Similar with hair, hands can easily lose definition as you render. So use darker color to define the bone or even outline it for tidier result. Then we can add the nails. Nails make the fingers look so much better. I will adjust the siblings' position for a bit, since it looks like they're standing too far from each other. Like, come on, get closer. What are you guys, having a fight? Grow up. And then just make them bigger so there is no gap in the canvas. Easy. Before adding the accessories, I will shade their eyes for a bit. I don't have a particular method on shading the eyes, just making the upper half darker and the lower half lighter and adding the pupil with a really dark color, almost pure black. But again, for a comprehensive explanation, you can check out my most recent membership video. I'm adding the upper lashes facing downwards due to the head angle, making it longer at the outer corner. Next, add the lower lashes. Lower lashes are a necessity. I feel like the character characters I draw look naked without lower lashes. Then of course, add lower lash shadows on the aegyo or the under eyeshadow for further stylization. I will shade Ruka's eyes next. You can see the shading better on her irises thanks to the angle. I will draw the upper lashes facing upwards this time, and then add lower lashes and the lower lash shadows just like before. Before I forget, I'll add little details on Ruka's nails. I'm just adding random things like a tiny tongue, face, and a tic-tac-toe and tiny hearts. I should have looked up some nail design references beforehand. However, worry not, because I've looked up references for the accessories. I want the siblings to have modern gothic aesthetics, but nothing too dark, so I'm gonna emphasize that just in the accessories. Just like clothes, I also suck at drawing accessories, especially metals and golds. They reflect a lot of light, but my painting always turns out messy and doesn't look realistic. This time, I tried to keep the lighting simple and just follow my references religiously. Well, not that extreme, obviously, but you know what I mean. The reason I gave my virtual offsprings this type of aesthetics is to force myself to study accessories. Yes, there are times when I resented my past self for making that decision, but it's actually quite fun. There are tons of beautiful modern gothic accessories, and it's fun to mix and match the accessories with the siblings' clothes. Now thankfully there are chain brushes in Ibispaint, so I don't have to draw them one by one. I used a multiply layer to shade the chains and an overlay or screen layer to add highlights. For Kaede, I will draw this cool sword necklace. I don't know if I can nail it though, but wish me luck. Just like drawing characters, I draw the silhouette as a base, then fill it with color and shadow and highlights. Yeah, I don't think I nailed it though. Anyway, his chest kinda looks empty, isn't it? So I will add a little tattoo in the shape of a cursed tree branch, I think. I don't know, I just found it randomly on Pinterest and thought, that looks easy enough. The painting is 85% done, so now we can move on to color adjustment. I always use muted colors for the shading and rendering because they're easier to control and don't hurt my poor old eyesight. But I like a vibrant end result, so we have to adjust the colors. If you're a long-time viewer, you know the drill. Use multiply layer to deepen the shadows. I applied it mostly around the facial features with a muted pink. Multiply makes any color darker and more saturated. Then add lighter and more saturated colors with overlay. I also use it to apply blush and lip color. One thing about overlay, the color it produced depends on the color below it. For example, the skin tone in my drawing has yellow tint to it. So I used magenta or purple in the overlay so my painting doesn't get too orange. I almost forgot to add pink diamond highlights on the siblings' hair. This is just something random I pulled out of my ass when designing Kaede because it was supposed to be a robot initially, but I didn't want to draw robot arms every time I draw him, so yeah, he's human now. How does a human have pink diamond highlights, you ask? Digital imaging. Anyway, we're moving to my favorite part, using the gradation map. Don't forget to duplicate the drawing beforehand and pick any gradients you like. I always use blue-red combination. Set the layer to soft light and lower the opacity. If you're using free version of Ibispaint, you can always use parallel gradation. Parallel gradation might look a little flat because it doesn't affect the values like gradation map does. I'm also adding thin shades of blue to the shadows for color variation and to reflect the background. Then I use the unsharpness filter to sharpen the whole painting and adjusted the contrast with levels. You can also do this with brightness and contrast because yes, surprise, levels is not free. I duplicated the drawing again and added a glitch effect on the bottom one. This adds an outline to your painting, but not a straight, boring one. And my digital kits went from this to this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out ACGGOODS using the link in the description to start your online store at zero cost. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!